Will you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will you join me in prayer, please? Supreme Architect of the universe, we invoke thy blessing at this time. May this meeting thus begun in peace, conducted in harmony, and closed. It's in your name I most humbly pray. Amen. Uh-oh. I get it, that if you lower one of my seats, then we'll all be at the same height. But I would have to add sandbags to each of you for us to be the same weight.
We know that.
Oh, okay. All right.
Wow. I'm kind of speechless.
Okay, all right. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Allegheny County Commissioners' Public Business Meeting, Thursday, March 14th, 2013. Gentlemen, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
No, sir.
I'd like to entertain a motion to accept the minutes of our March 7th, 2013 Public Business Meeting.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
It's been moved by Commissioner Brody, seconded by Commissioner Valentine. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Gentlemen, action agenda, item number 1. This is the tax exempt general obligation refinancing update. Mr. Bennett, do you have some good news for us?
Good news, Bennett.
I hope I can keep this good news up. Kind of like it. We've finally finalized all of our refinancing. I know it's been a 6-month process. Earlier this week, on Monday to be exact, we took bids on the open market with the assistance of Davenport and Company, and Commissioner McKay and Dave Eberly were there as well. Received 9 bids. We took the best interest rate, obviously, which is from Robert W. Baird and Company. It was for 2.26%. So we're going to close on that on March 27th, a couple weeks. As we had approved back in February 14th, Commissioner McKay awarded that bid right there on the spot once Davenport verified the numbers. So no more action on the part of the commissioners. Everything's done. We rolled into this refinance our 2004, 2006 PIB bonds, and also 2 of our Mountain Ridge loans, total of $9,650,000. They're going to mature in 2027. Pretty short term, as you can see. We're actually able to shorten the Mountain Ridge loans from 30 years to 20. So we did a pretty good thing. We refinanced and shortened up our debt terms.
Jason, just on the aggregate, what's the savings on shortening that term of that loan, just those 10 years?
Just those 10 years? I don't have the exact in front of me, but nearly $100,000 as memory serves. So it's good savings.
And I understand that that's kind of unprecedented to pay off a school in 20 years compared to 30 years.
We certainly sped up the process, and the interest rates definitely helped. And hopefully as we go forward into Allegany, we're going to explore the 20-year term there. But it's a good way to do it. With interest rates being as cheap as they are, it's worth us doing. We can pay off a big asset pretty quickly.
Okay. So we have this savings and then the savings that we had a couple weeks ago. What's the grand total number?
The grand total, well, first of all, on this loan, we saved $875,000. So that's simply on this refinance. Going to see most of that savings over the next 2 years, just the way they structured the deal. Grand total, including last week's taxable sale that we had, is $1.1 million.
1.1 million.
Yeah. So
Very good.
we're pretty happy. You know, even interest rates even ticked up on us ever so slightly over the past 2 weeks because of the sequester. But we think our bond rating kind of helped us keep a good interest rate. So we're right on target with our savings. We think this helps a lot going forward. So
I was in on you had some questions for Sam Kettleman from Davenport about the new Allegany High School. I mean, I saw something in the paper that they're going to be meeting with some architects and actually asking some feedback from the community. What was his advice for us on shopping that $9.2 million that this Board of Commissioners has voted for and set a resolution for the new Allegany?
Well, his thoughts were, probably to go back out on the open market again. It's probably the best way for us to get the best interest rate since we have a 20-year term. When you do a private placement, which we did last week, usually you're looking for a shorter term with a bank. So he thinks the best bang for our buck's going to be to go out on the open market and see what we can do. Kind of thinks the interest rates, as long as nothing major changes, are still going to be low in roughly a year to year and a half when we're ready. So we'll just have to kind of walk through the process again.
Okay.
It's a lot of work, but it's obviously well worth it.
It definitely paid off. And when was the last time that the county did something like this?
The last time we went on the open market was actually 2001, and we, at that time, refunded our 96 bonds, which in part were Rocky Gap.
Okay.
So it's been quite some time. That's why kind of so much work went into this. That's why we took the trip to New York to meet with the bond raters, talk about the good things we're doing here. So we may get to do it again soon.
Okay.
And while you two are here, thanks to Dave and you, Commissioner, for your help in this process. Appreciate you.
I'm just eye candy.
You were there along for the ride, so.
Okay.
He was there along for the supper.
Well done, Jason.
Excellent news. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Appreciate
Very
that.
much.
Okay. Item number 2, gentlemen, is the architectural engineering services for a new sheriff's building. And I think I saw a piece of yellow equipment out in the grassy area.
You did. Some soil testing is going to go on tomorrow afternoon, or
Okay.
tomorrow morning. Yes.
Tomorrow morning.
Yes, sir. So, good evening. What you have in front of you is a request to seek the approval of bringing on 3 consultants to assist with the design of the sheriff's office. The total fee of the 3 is approximately $60,000. They're going to work with the engineering team here in Public Works to efficiently design a new sheriff's office. We have worked with all 3 of these consultants before, and they are, the way we're kind of arranging this, where a cost not to exceed, and we do as much as we can, and they assist where needed. It's just a really good fit. So looking for your approval of these 3 contracts.
Commissioners, I'm looking for a motion for item number 2 to authorize the Department of Public Works to begin the work on the new building for the Sheriff's Department.
So move.
And second. It's been moved and seconded. I think you had a clarification about...
I believe it's been reported publicly that the sheriff is currently occupying a building that's 26,000 square feet over on Furnace Street. I think there's been a typo in some of the newsprint on that. The building is probably closer to 2,700 square feet.
Yeah.
This building, I believe, is, Adam, 6,000?
It's around 6,000.
6,000. That's
Yes, sir.
essentially 60 by 100.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. Gentlemen, we're going to call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioners, item number 3 is introduction of Code Home Rule Bill number 2-13. See his name in lights, Bill Rudd.
Thank you. All right, I prepared for your introduction tonight a bill to authorize a tax credit for anybody who installs a residential fire protection sprinkler system. This is authorized by the state of Maryland, authorizes counties and municipalities to grant such credits if they choose. Again, it would be, of course, against the property tax. The way it's been drafted, anybody who installs one of these systems in a residential 1 or 2 unit building would get a credit of $500 per tax year for 3 years, so $1,500 over 3 years. Obviously, they have to, this provides for regulation, so we can get into the detail about what kind of things they have to submit and so forth. This will sunset in July 1st, first of all, to go into effect this coming July 1st, and would sunset July 1st of 2016, or at such time as the county decides to make residential sprinklers mandatory.
Okay.
So this is to encourage people to do this voluntarily before it becomes mandatory.
Okay. Any questions, commissioners?
Just one clarification, it won't necessarily be the county making it mandatory, it's going to be the state.
Well, the question
Going to
is
make it
the state
mandatory.
building code. Right now, we're allowed to opt out, which you've chosen to do, and after, we believe in 2016, it's going to be mandatory.
Right, there will be no opt-out.
There will be no opt-out, that's correct.
Just point of clarification, and this legislation would apply to both municipal jurisdictions and unincorporated
That's correct,
jurisdictions.
that's correct.
So the city of Frostburg, which has a mandatory program, their applicants could actually take advantage of this
So
program.
it'd be both.
Yes.
Okay. All right, gentlemen, I'd like to entertain a motion to introduce Code Home Rule Bill number 2-13. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Brody, seconded by Commissioner Valentine. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, item number 4, gentlemen, is introduction of Code Home Rule Bill 3-13. Mr. DeVore. Mr. Rudd again.
I know.
Wow.
Who do you want to hear from first?
Well, let's go ahead and hear from you, sir.
I believe I'm just the eye candy in this.
There you
one.
go,
Yeah.
there you go. Anyway.
It's a burden we both must bear, my friend. It's a burden we must bear.
This is a follow-up to last week's meeting when there was a MOU entered into with the foundation, the Animal Control Foundation, or Animal Shelter Foundation. The proposed amendment to the current animal control law would allow for the county to either operate its own shelter or to contract that services out to a approved animal welfare association operating in Allegheny County. You may, if you choose, assign personnel to there who could remain county personnel or not. But anyway, it's enabling legislation. It makes an amendment to Section 225-4 of the county code authorizing that.
Okay.
Certainly, on behalf of the Animal Shelter Foundation, who many of them are present here today, we support this initiative, and this paves the way for us to move forward with our agreement.
Okay. All right. Gentlemen, I'd like to entertain a motion for the introduction of Code Home Rule Bill number 3-13.
So moved.
And seconded.
It's been moved by Commissioner Valentine, seconded by Commissioner Brody. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
We'll have a hearing on both these bills next Thursday?
Right.
Okay.
With possible action when?
The next legislative day, which would be the following Thursday.
The 28th.
So the 28th.
Very
Okay.
good.
All right, perfect. Mr. Everly, what do we have on our consent agenda today, sir?
Commissioners, I believe we have 2 items on our consent agenda today. These are procurement items related to budget transfers, and I recommend that you approve both of them, please.
Okay, wonderful. Gentlemen, I'd like to entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Brody, seconded by Commissioner Valentine. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Da-na-na-na-na. Mr. Everly, what do we have for correspondence, please?
Real quick, I just wanted to acknowledge Lee Cutter, who's here with us this evening, that made it possible for us to get creative with his budget and accommodate those last 2 consent agenda items. So Lee, hats off to you and your staff. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Captain.
Commissioners, Mrs. Simpson handed me a copy of an email that we just received from Victoria in Senator Edwards' office, and I'm anxious to report that the Budget and Tax Committee from the Senate just concurred with the House decision on the Burfa bill, and that the coal tax credit is restored for another year. So,
Delegate McMillan failed.
I have to say that's great news. I hope he continues to fail at his endeavor in this. So,
All right. That is excellent, excellent news. Okay. Anything else, sir?
Yes, sir. I have two pieces of correspondence here related to legislation, which is scheduled for hearing tomorrow. We have the first bill is Senate Bill 879, which is a natural gas severance tax impact account. Copies of that correspondence here. Commissioners, if you please, I will read the text of this letter into the record.
Please.
Dear Senator Casemeyer, we wish to take this opportunity to express our support for Senate Bill 879, titled Natural Gas Severance Tax Impact Account. This legislation would authorize and establish a 2.5% tax on the gross fair market value of natural gas produced at a wellhead. The proceeds of the funds collected would go to the Natural Gas Impact Account of the state of Maryland and be used to monitor and remediate any adverse impacts which may arise from the exploration and production of natural gas. Senator Casemeyer and members of the committee, we ask that you vote favorably on this legislation so that the state can move forward in a responsible manner to provide reasonable oversight and accountability over the natural gas industry in Maryland. We believe that this legislation will also serve to advance the exploration of natural gas in Western Maryland and help to strengthen our fragile local economy.
Consensus?
This is a good bill. In fact, I'll be going to Annapolis tomorrow to testify in favor of this. As a member of the governor's study commission, this was talked about quite extensively. Study commission, originally the state, rather than imposing a new excise tax on the gas, was going to be very willing to take the 5% tax that both Allegany and Garrett County already have on extraction of gas. They were going to take that for the state, and they were going to leave the counties empty-handed. We were able to talk them into, no, you just add tax on top, let the counties get the tax that we deserve. So I'll be testifying on behalf of the study commission, and if we decide to accept this, I'll also be testifying on behalf of the county on this bill.
Well, I guess if it makes them happy to go ahead and tax an industry they've tried to kill, I mean, if the tax burden seems like that for some reason will change their minds, I guess I'm supportive of this, since, you know, when they keep talking about the gas exploration in the state of Maryland, let's look at realistically, it's only in western Allegany County and Garrett County, but it sure seems to draw a lot of attention throughout the state. So with that being said, we'll sign the letter.
Okay. I'll take that as consensus.
Yeah. It's amazing how a tax will ease the pain.
Commissioners, I have a second letter. It's concerning Senate Bill 917, Allegany County Video Lottery Terminals, Distribution of Proceeds. It also is to Chairman Casemeyer of the Senate Budget and Tax Committee. Dear Chairman Casemeyer, we would like to take this opportunity to express our support on behalf of SB 917, titled Allegany County Video Lottery Terminals, Distribution of Proceeds. The purpose of this legislation is to require the expenditure of certain proceeds from a gaming facility in Allegany County to expend 0.05% of the proceeds on capital improvements each year. Chairman Casemeyer, members of the committee, this legislation will serve to promote the redevelopment of the Rocky Gap Golf and Lodge Resort and further support the construction of much-needed conference space at that facility. Commissioner Chaprev's here.
You okay with that, gentlemen? Consensus?
How about just, yep.
Anything else, sir?
That about covers it.
Okay, wonderful. Do you
I've
need
said
some
enough.
extra bottles of water? I mean,
I've said enough.
okay, thank you very much. I appreciate you yielding the balance of your time
Creed.
to greed.
Wow.
Commissioners, statements, comments?
Go for it, Creed.
Well, I actually was going to do the calendar tonight, but I actually, with listening to Jason talk about our refinance of debt and this and that, and talking about the building of the new Allegany High School has kind of got me thinking in another direction. I'm going to put you on the spot tonight, Commissioner. I guess, first of all, congratulations on the Board of Education fighting to keep you on their board, which is going to lead me to a couple different questions as I'm sitting here thinking tonight. What actually does an ex officio do on said board? Because I've wondered that for years. And I guess you will be in all the meetings now, including the executive session. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but congratulations, because they really fought to keep you there. And the second thing is I know that you and Dr. Root have a meeting set up with the sheriff over public safety at the schools. And I was wondering if, since I don't know exactly, I don't want to step outside the sunshine laws, if you would next week, please, would you report back what the meeting
Yeah, we'll
outcome of that
report
would
back
be?
with that. The sheriff and I did reach out we asked the delegation for a representative, and they thought Kevin Kelly would be the best for that.
Oh,
I had
good.
talked to Senator Edwards, actually out in Orleans. Then I actually invited Chief of Police from Frostburg, the Chief of Police from Cumberland, of course, Dr. Root,
Mr. Farrell.
Mr. Farrell, thank you very much. Their Board of Education security officer, he's in charge of that.
Oh, okay.
And yes, we will be having a meeting on Monday to get a recommendation, not a recommendation, but to fester a conversation about school security. And since I'm certainly not a professional police officer, I want to be able to allow the Board of Education to have the ability to get a professional's opinion when it talks about school security.
Very good, because that would actually be my recommendation. Actually, before I got your email, it kind of played out pretty good, because I had called Delegate Beitzel on Monday and had a couple questions on this bill that was going through the House just to see how it was going to be. And the consensus I get from the delegation is security needs to be in the hands of our professional law enforcement. So that's why
Well, that's
it just all kind of...
they're in the business of protection. So you go to the top law enforcement officer in Allegany County, and that is the duly elected sheriff.
Okay, so, well...
So we're going to give the ball to him and allow him to help facilitate that meeting. As ex officio member of the Board of Education, basically I have full rights and responsibilities as every other board member, elected board member on the Board of Education. The only thing that I can't do is vote. However, I can make motions, I can second them, I can bring up discussions. It's actually in Comar, not Comar,
Actually,
but
in state law.
in state law.
It's in that annotated thing.
See, I was trying to get away from not saying that word. Annotated, how about that?
That's wonderful.
It was just nice to see him come out with such a voice and a strong feeling of keeping you there.
Yeah, well, anyhow, it wasn't about me, and I look forward to participating in all the meetings, special meetings, work sessions, executive sessions, the whole 9 yards. So,
You're going to be so busy, number 9 might have to wait for a while. So.
Commissioner Valentine.
Well, I was in Annapolis all day Tuesday testifying on a bill that had to do with Marcellus Shale. That also had some stuff to do with liability insurance for the drillers, how the insurance is going to be handled there. Basically a consumer protection bill to make sure that if something would happen at a wellhead, that none of the responsibility of cleanup would fall on Allegany County taxpayers. It'd all be up to the people in the drilling companies to take care of that. The bill was presented in the Senate. It was written by Senator Edwards. There were 5 of us from the study commission that spoke in favor of that bill, and absolutely no one spoke in opposition to the bill. So I feel pretty sure that bill will go through. And then I'll be going back down to Annapolis tomorrow. I think I just sort of have a bungee cord between Annapolis and my car. And I'll be testifying on the Marcellus bill that we discussed here today, And also on the Rocky Gap bill, it's important to have a voice for our county down in Annapolis. I've been spending 1 to 2 days a week down there just about every week. Glad the session's about over. But it's pretty good. I think local testimony was able to save the coal tax credits for this area, which is very important. So as we move forward, we'll have a stronger and stronger voice. And on issues, it's not necessarily just an Allegany County issue. We've now got strong representation in the Rural Counties Coalition. So there again, our voice will be heard in Annapolis.
Okay. And in addition to the meeting on Monday for attendance, the Maryland State Police will also be in attendance as well. That was a faux pas on my part. So
We just learned of that late today.
did we? Okay, good. Well, probably the sheriff had my back and took care of that. Okay, constituents. Got two gentlemen to sign up today. As Mr. Wilmot, he's first on the list. As they come to the podium, just remind everyone of our 5 and 5 policy. And would you state your name and address for the record, sir?
Yes, sir. I'm Kenneth E. Wilmot. I live at 513 Fort Avenue, Cumberland, Maryland. 57 years ago, this coming June, I stood tall with about 300 other young men of the United States of America. We raised our hand and swore to God to protect the Constitution of the United States and the flag against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I'm here again to keep that pledge. I'm here particularly to respond to a letter I received from you people on the 14th of February. I won't read the whole letter, I'll just read the last paragraph. Moving forward, I've been directed to communicate to you that the county will no longer afford you the opportunity to speak at the county commissioner's public business meetings on matters related to animal control issues. The county's Animal Control Advisory Board provides to you and others the appropriate forum for such exchanges. You may attend the county's public meetings and participate in public discussions on other matters of interest to you. However, if you have a question or concern regarding animal control or shelter matters in the future, you may speak privately with Commissioner McKay or any other commissioner who will forward your concerns along to the appropriate staff. My comments for the past 2 years and 5 months are a matter of public record. All my comments are based on facts and figures from the Animal Control Board reports, public newspapers, and my personal experience at the animal shelter. I find nowhere have I put forth an unsubstantiated accusation. I'm going to honor your request, but this isn't the end of it. However, the county's Animal Control Advisory Board provides you and others the appropriate forum. For your information, I have attended every Animal Control Board meeting that was ever scheduled. In the year 2012, we had 9 months without a meeting. For what reason, I don't know. Anyway, I think it's a disgrace that when you people think you can restrict people's right to speak at a county or any meeting, to restrict anybody to come up here and speak on anything is a disgrace. I have spent the best 20 years of my life. I joined the Air Force at the age of 17. I've been to every hellhole that you can imagine. I haven't been to some of the latest ones, but I've been to some of them that are just as bad. I think this is an absolute disgrace. I have been to you people in the past on problems with this government entity that you call it out there, and anything, I got no support. That's true. Now, I would just like to say, on this Bill 313, according to what I read in the county code, this thing is that amendment is supposed to go through the Animal Control Advisory Board prior to anything else. Am I right or wrong?
I don't believe you're correct, sir.
Well, the law says that
You're
all actions are...
Mr. Wilmot, I answered your question. You're incorrect. Second of all, Mr. Wilmot, the reason that we had that letter drafted is because we had done an investigation to the claims that you had made that were erroneous. Mr. Wilmot, I've been very respectful to you and will continue to be respectful to you because of who you are. And 90% of what your topics, you and I agree with. We don't agree with this. If animal control is an issue that you believe that this Board of Education, this Board of Commissioners has ignored, then I suggest that you run for County Commissioner in 2014 and you then change the policy. Thank you very much. Your 5 minutes are up.
I request another 5 minutes.
We're going to hear from the next person. Mr. Taylor.
Commissioners, for the record, my name is Edward W. Taylor, Jr., address is 400 South Allegany Street, Cumberland, Maryland. And I'm here this evening representing the Cumberland Historic Cemetery Organization, which I have been the president of for a very long period of time. About a month and a half ago, I stood here and gave you a 30-year progress report, what we have done over the past 3 decades since 1983, all with private money. We have never gone before any governmental board of commissioners, a city council, or any other type of governmental institution to ask for a handout. This afternoon, I attended for about an hour and a half or so part of your budget meetings. And I was appalled at some of the organizations that year after year after year come before this board and ask not only for huge sums of money, but more money than they got the year before. This nation, from the federal government clear to City Hall, we are in an absolute horrendous financial crisis. I think everybody in this room would agree with that. It's not getting any better. We all know that. We need to quit lying to ourselves. It is time that nonprofit organizations, historic organizations, or whatever they may be, have to start supporting themselves. Our small organization, we have erected $4.5 million worth of monuments right here in Allegany County. Tremendous accomplishment. Every penny of that has come from the private sector. The Allegany Arts Council, it might be a fine organization. They may believe it is. I really don't have an opinion on it. However, they're using my money. They're using everybody's money. We, the cemetery organization, we don't use anyone's money. We cannot afford this any longer. I am just amazed that these people have the gumption and the gall to sit at that table and ask the 3 of you for more money, besides any at all. And the other thing, I want to chastise the Cumberland Times-News, because they constantly will report that side of it, but it's never reported that anyone attends these meetings and is begging the county commissioners and the mayor and council to stop giving money. As you all well know, these groups not only receive county money, they get state and federal money also, even more than they get from the county. And it's time to stop it. Canal Place, they requested $60,000. Incredible. We need to look at that amount of money and what that could do. Family Crisis Resource Center. I am also president of the Maryland Fathers' Rights League. My attorney, Mr. Paul Sullivan, who is very well known throughout the state of Maryland, I want to give you his telephone number. Please write it down, 301-733-5252. Before you give this organization 1 penny, please call Mr. Sullivan. And he will tell you exactly how they issue justice in that building. It's appalling, absolutely appalling. That institution is a place to promote the liberal agenda. It is against the family. It started off as a good thing, such as many of these groups do, but it's totally out of hand. But we, the Cumberland Historic Cemetery Organization, we are asking you to stop funding all of these outfits. And if they're so great, such as their leaders and their directors and their so-called executive directors say they are, then they ought to be able to support themselves like we do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Taylor. Okay, Mr. Wilmot. Are we going to continue about the animal shelter, or are we going to continue
No,
about other?
I'm going to continue on my right to free speech. I have every right.
Just a second, Mr. Wilmot. I'll turn it over to you in just a second. Remind everyone that our next public business meeting is going to be Thursday, March 21st, 2013 at 5 o'clock in room 100. I'd like to announce that the Old Town Road Area Sewer Project public meeting will be Tuesday, March 19th, 2013 at 7 o'clock right here in the Allegany County Office Building, 701 Kelly Boulevard. Just in case I don't have an opportunity to thank everyone for participating in their government, I hope you have a nice evening. Please stay tuned. Mr. Wilmot.
Yes. Back to free speech. By what law are you writing this letter? By what law? There is no law. Every citizen in the United States has the right to his opinion, to whatever. All my opinion and criticism is based on pure facts and my own experience. I'm not going to go through it because it would take me about 5 hours to express what I've been through, all for the benefit of the citizens of Allegany County and the residents on Fort Avenue. But anyway, enough said on that. I've got one comment for this fracking that you people all want to do. You need to tell everybody out there who's on a well, they need to start taking water samples now. Because if you have a problem, once they throw a hole on your property, it's too late. You've got to have proof of evidence of purity of water before they even drill a well. It's just like years ago when they put the landfill in up at Frostburg. As soon as they got in there, people complained about their water. Too late. They couldn't prove a thing because they hadn't taken previous water samples. I am not for the fracking for a simple reason is if you well, there's no guarantee that every well they drill is going to be 100% perfect. If you contaminate our water, it's going to be real bad for the civilization. Our air is polluted. Now they want to pollute our water. Anyway, enough said. Thank you.
Mr. Wilmot, about the water wells, part of the legislation that has already been offered for the Marcellus drilling. Before there can be any drilling done on site, there will be a complete environmental study done on that site, which will include a third-party testing of wells within a half-mile of the drill site. And it's actually going to be a half-mile from the end of the horizontal drill, not just the wellhead. It'll be done by third party. It'll test water quantity, water quality. Part of this tax that was talked about here today, if you would have a well and it would be contaminated, there would be money there to drill new well or provide you with water. But the very interesting thing with all the concerns about well contaminations, I know you like to check your own facts. You can get a hold of the West Virginia Department of Health. You can get a hold of the Pennsylvania Department of Health. Both those states are drilling very heavily. There is not one confirmed case of well contamination due to Marcellus drilling. That's a fact. Don't take my word for it. Call either of those.
I still say
there's always a possibility. There's a possibility.
Each property owner needs to do his own sampling to ensure that in the future there's no problems.
Well, the reason why it's going to be a third party, if you do it yourself, have somebody come in, then he's going to be testifying as a friendly witness for you in a court trial if it goes to court trial. If it's third party by a certified person, he'll be testifying as an expert witness.
Thank you.
But that's already part of the
Mr.
legislation.
Wilmot, I think Commissioner Brody has.
Yeah, you know, as this, I live within a quarter mile of the landfill up there now. I actually have a well. I have been mined under. I've been stripped around. I was going to have one time I was going to have wind power until we decided we didn't want that because, like everything else in the state, we don't want. We do have gas under us. It stops at Dan's Mountain. I'll be one of the people that does have it. I have looked into this extensively. I have visited numerous well sites. I keep getting emails from people, you need to go talk to the people that's got this on their land. Well, I have. I don't, everyone comes up with these facts, but they think it's facts because they write it down. There's nothing behind them, as Bill said.
Yeah.
You know, it's like everyone is speaking for the people up there except for the people that want it. Yet has anyone come in here where the drilling would actually take place and say, I don't want it? It seems like it's people that live out of the area or have nothing to do with it that speak their opinion, and because it's their opinion, it's supposed to be gospel.
Well,
I have lived up there my whole life, actually.
yeah, I happen to be, John Barton's been dead some few years now, but I was a friend of his. He came out to our archaeological digs, and he told us, I guess it's been 12, 13 years ago now, the gas company came to him, and he put $3 million of his own money into a gas well up there, drilling for gas.
And what did he find?
Zip. He
Yeah,
lost
because
$3
there's no
million.
gas on this side of Dan's Mountain.
I don't know where he drilled. And the next thing he told us, he said, the worst part about drilling is you got to have a 30-acre clear space around that well.
And that's not true
For
either.
flame.
Larger than that.
Well, that's what he told us. But
Again, they're not facts. I was actually on a well site. It's less than an acre. It's about a half acre, actually. I stood right there
that's
from
what he
you
told
from
me.
where they.
That's
Yeah,
what he
that's what I
told us.
mean. It's not true. So.
The good thing about it is, Mr. Wilmot, you don't have to do any drilling on Fort Avenue because you own those homes. The people who want to do the drilling, you should be allowed to have your property rights. So, thank you very much. This meeting is closed.